Hey, this is Nick Milvoy.
And this is Jason Shadrick.
And this is the 100 Guitarist Podcast, where every week we talk about one of the 100 guitarists that we think you should know. Jason, who are we talking about today?
We are talking about the one and only Noel Gallagher of Oasis fame, which he's been in the news a bit lately. Him and his brother finally made up. They're finally getting back together. So we figured now is as good a time as any to break down why Noel's so cool and why, Nick, you came out of this podcast about ready to get a Union Jack tattoo.
That's right. That's right. And so to help us do that today, we have a very special guest who is coming to join us. And from what I hear, he's one of the biggest Oasis fans around.
Yeah. Sadler Vaden from Jason Isbell in the 400 unit has long been one of the biggest Oasis fans I know. Once upon a time when we were pitching to do a interview with Noel for his last High Flying Birds record, the plan was to have Sadler do the interview.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So hopefully one day that will come to fruition. Noel, if you're out there listening, give us a call. Let us know.
You know, you're a giant Oasis fan. Sadler is a giant Oasis fan, and I am a casual Oasis fan. So I sort of took this experience to sit back and learn a little bit about what makes Noel so awesome. I would say I might be a bigger fan of Noel Gallagher interviews than I have been in the past of Oasis music, because I enjoy hearing him speak. Either of the Gallagher brothers, if I'm scrolling and I see a clip of those guys talking, I'm watching it.
That's it.
So, I'm using this opportunity to brush up on my Oasis knowledge. So I thank you for that. And so if you're like me and you want to learn more about Oasis, I'd say this is a great place to be. And if you are like Jason and you're a giant Oasis fan, there's all sorts of Oasis love in here that, write in. Tell us about things. Tell us about what you think. Share your opinions. And you can do that by emailing 100, that's 100 guitarists at premierguitar.com. Or please leave us a voicemail. We love those. We can play those. Or we can read your texts that you send to 319-423-9734. And if you're not following us already, follow us here on the Premier Guitar YouTube channel, or just find the 100 Guitarist Podcast anywhere you find your podcasts.
Mm-hmm. So today's episode is sponsored by Epiphone. And Epiphone has made the Noel Gallagher Riviera Dark Wine Red model. And this was patterned after a Riviera that he played during the early Oasis tours. It was an early 80s Riviera that he had. So they took that guitar, they found it, they patterned one exactly like it, the color and the finish are close match. It also comes loaded with Epiphone Alnico Classic Pro pickups, and it has a slim taper neck with the inclusion of a volute, and extra touches such as a historically accurate E appointments on the pickguard and a truss rod cover and a brown sound hole label. Give the guitar that real vintage feel. And we did review this guitar a little while back, and I believe Charlie quite enjoyed it.
So when you form your Oasis tribute band,
yes,
is this what you're going for?
Totally. It's this or like the Red 335, the Bigsby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It definitely has to be a semi-hollow through unnecessarily loud amps.
Either way, Gibson's got you covered.
They got me covered. That's right.
Gibson or Epiphone, whichever one. There's something. Well, you'll be in luck if you go for the Epiphone, because it comes complete with an Epiphone hardshell case, and the guitar is finished with a replica artist signature on the back of the headstock, so you can see what Noel's signature looks like every time you play your open E minor chord. Last year, Gibson TV
E minor. I'm about to play E minor.
There we go. Thank you, Noel.
Last year, Gibson TV sat down with Noel, who they say is one of our generation's most iconic songwriters, for an episode of the Icon series, forging his own style of playing and songwriting, triumphantly dominating with Oasis, Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Noel Gallagher continuously shapes the music scene and influences artists globally, validating his position as a true icon. Check out that episode of Gibson TV's Icons over on their YouTube channel.
That's right, and we'll put the link below. in that. So, all right, let's get to our talk with Sadler. Spoiler: he has not, as of today, acquired Oasis tickets. Neither have I, but that's not to say we won't see him. But all right, for all the Oasis nerds, we have a lot of talk in this episode about the new stuff, the old stuff, and what our top 5 favorite Oasis records are. So let's get to it. Here's Sadler Vaden. All right, Sadler, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
So today, when I saw Noel's name on the list, 1,000 thoughts came through my head. You know, the boys are back together, and I'm like, who could we talk to? And as you and I have shared Oasis-related text over the years, I figured there's only one guy we need to bring in. But the first question I have you got tickets, and are you planning to see the reunion?
I haven't got tickets. And
or you didn't get tickets, I guess they're all gone.
I didn't get tickets, and I didn't try. And I am planning to see the reunion. And, you know, maybe it's a bit of arrogance or ego, but I didn't feel like I needed to try to buy tickets to the reunion, that I would maybe wait and see if I was going to be on the road or not before I made such lofty plans to see them. But I do, I mean, they're going to announce North American dates, so I'm going to wait to see what those look like. And I also think in my heart that they're going to announce more than just what they're going to initially post in
yeah, they have to,
UK,
right?
and yeah. So you know, I've gotten to see them once too. So I've already gone to therapy about it. I've already, you know, if I don't, I'm okay. I'll be all right. You know, but yeah, I really would love to see them. I think Liam is singing really great from what I can tell. Just recently seen clips of his solo tours and stuff, and so it's pretty exciting to me. I would love to be there for the first gig, really for the experience of the energy. You know, I hope they have a Richter scale out there when those two walk on stage. I would love to be there for that experience, but I also don't know that I would love seeing them in the UK, because I don't think I'd be able to hear them. And I know that's kind of part of the Oasis experience. It's just like grabbing your mate, drinking beer, singing along at the top of your lungs. But I don't think you're going to hear the band over there.
That's a good point.
So
One thought I had over the weekend as I was thinking about preparing for this is, do you think that first show, which I would say if I was picking one show to go to, I'd want to go to the first show, because who knows? And maybe that's part of the mystique. Who knows if these shows will actually happen until you see those two guys walk out on stage, right?
yeah.
Will that be that first night of the show, which Edinburgh, I think, will that be the first time we see them on stage? Will they do something?
Oh yeah, right. Good point.
Will they do something? Will we see them on a TV show? Will we see them?
Like a WWE press conference, you know, just a hype night.
I mean, the hype's there.
Like
everything is sold out, right?
Like
it's
when
not
the
like they have to hype
matches
it.
happen and
Exactly. Oh, dude. If like, oh yeah, Wembley Arena, that's where we're going to have the press conference. They sell out Wembley Arena just for the press conference.
I mean, that's a good point. I don't know, it's hard to say, you know, like you're thinking of what they're going to show up. I mean, we have a long way to go. This
Right.
is we need to be training in the off season, you know, we need to be training in the off season.
Take me back to do you remember when you first heard Noel Gallagher play the guitar?
Oh, let's see.
I mean,
think it
how
had
old
to
were
have
you
been
when,
MTV.
was it the 95, 96? Definitely, like when those albums were coming out, were you aware of them?
What's the Story? For sure, I was aware. And my sister and I, unbeknownst to our parents, bought. We paid one of those. Was it Columbia House or
Oh, yeah.
whatever was in the magazines? The penny, you know, whatever, 40 CDs,
Yep.
albums for a penny. And when you're, you know, 12 years old and your
Right.
sister's 15 years old, it seems like a really good idea. Like,
That's right.
oh my God, we get all the music we want. And so I remember definitely maybe in What's the Story, Morning Glory coming in that batch that came to us. But What's the Story was the first one because we were allowed to watch MTV. And so I was right there. I was 9 or 10 years old, you know, seeing Oasis, seeing Wonderwall, Champagne Supernova videos, Don't Look Back in Anger videos. And I do faintly remember when they played at the Video Music Awards, I think, and either they threw a beer at the camera or spit in the camera, and they did the two fingers, you know, they walked off stage and they were, and I remember my dad being like, you know, oh, yeah, like, but I think for me at the time, it was like, it wasn't my parents' band, it was my band. I think when I started seeing them, even at that age, as young as I was, I kind of felt like, oh, well, this is my band.
Now, were you
know,
playing
'cause I
guitar at the
didn't-
time?
Yeah, I just started playing guitar when I was 10. So yeah, it would have to have been on MTV would have been the first, or just, you know, in tandem, you know, getting What's the Story,
Right.
and then them being all over MTV. So
'Cause
that would
was
have been
it-
the first.
Was it your sister's idea was it your sister's idea on the Columbia House thing to put those records on there?
Yeah, my sister, I think she checked whatever records, you know, that she thought we should have. So
Oh, I
so
see.
yeah, could credit her for, you know, but I think I would have still tried to have gone to the record store to buy it, or to the mall, you know, to buy the CD. So.
Sam Goody.
So what was
Yeah,
the first song you learned? The first Oasis song you learned?
First Oasis song I learned, it probably would have been Champagne Supernova. You know, which I think probably is. I have to say it's probably my favorite Oasis song. I'm not saying it's their best song, but for some reason,
It's yours. That's the
maybe
one for
it's
you.
because of the age. I don't know. That song just does something for me that just I just kind of like never get tired of listening to it.
Where were you while we were getting high?
Yeah, listen to that.
So
Yeah, I don't know the melody. I don't know. I'm really tied to that song.
because for me, I had just started playing guitar when Morning Glory came out, right between when definitely maybe Morning Glory came out. And there's a couple things. One, they were on MTV all the time, so they were cool. There was lots of guitar on the songs, which was cool. And the guitar parts and the solos and the chords, they weren't difficult. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
within a couple, if you literally picked up a guitar today, within a month, you could probably be playing 2 or 3 Oasis songs, at least.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Easily. And that was such, like, because then I'm listening to, like, Dave Matthews Band, which I really liked. And I'm like, those guitar parts are impossible. You know? And I can go over to Oasis, and I can play Wonderwall, and people are like, oh, yeah, I know that song. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of what makes Oasis so great is it's accessible, you know, to like for a guitar player, very accessible, especially starting out, and they're very relatable, and I think that's why it connected with so many people, because people just saw themselves. You know, Oasis reflected, you know, the culture and the kids in the street at the time. Really, you know, they looked like the audience. You know, the audience saw themselves in them, and they weren't doing anything that, like you said, like you wouldn't be able to learn to do. So there was they could connect with it, and I think like sometimes that's, you know, a big thing we see now is like, you know, the bands are, you know, new bands or whatever, people coming out, and it's it's almost like it's too good. They're not reflecting what's happening out there just with everyday life. So like a new rock band basically is what I'm talking about, So Oasis can, you could sing along to every song and with a guitar in hand. So yeah, I mean you're right. I think you could pick up guitar and in a month or maybe less be playing a few Oasis songs for sure.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on Noel as a guitarist. Like what moves you? Do you have favorite riffs? Like what is it about Noel's playing that like really gets you?
I think the great thing about Noel's guitar playing is that he plays like a songwriter. So everything he plays is melodic.
Yeah.
So
even when he's playing leads.
Yeah, and I think that's as much as I love technical guitar playing, and as much as I practice and try to work on getting better technically as a guitar player, you've got to play something that somebody wants to air guitar, okay? Like that is, if you want to just if you want all your fans to be guitar players, then don't worry about that, But for me, I want people to be fans of what I do. I want them to just be music fans and them be able to like connect with it melodically. And I think Noel did exactly that. Kind of going back to what I said, it was like, look at us, and also you could do this too, because, and that's a little easier said than done because there's a lot
but you want to feel like
magic
it.
Involved.
Yeah, you want to feel like you can do that.
Exactly, it's making people feel like they can do that, and the little hook and nobody can see in Supersonic, nobody could ever hear him call now 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 now. That's what we call, that's in the box. It's like the Allman Brothers box,
Yeah.
But it's the same with like Mark Bryan and Hootie and the Blowfish and some of the solos he played on that first album or whatever. It's just, they're real simple, but they're memorable and they're super melodic. So I think because Noel comes at it from a songwriter approach, that's what makes his guitar playing so great, because he's always writing and looking for the hook factors. I mean, Oasis songs, there's hooks everywhere. It's the melody of the vocal and then the guitar stuff.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important for guitar players to try to look at that more, especially when someone's like a lead guitarist or something. I think if you're going to solo, maybe try to think of it as a song within a song.
It's funny you say that. So you guys are Oasis guys. You're in. I'm sort of the outlier here. I like Oasis. I know a lot of the songs.
You're saying me and Jason are.
You two.
Yeah.
And I'm just less, I grew up, we're all about the same age, grew up learning that stuff too on guitar, but it didn't click for me the same way. Like, and coming back to it now and like thinking about this, it is these hooks are really the thing that I think I appreciate the most when I think about these songs, because I'm like, what song are we talking about? And then I start to think about it, and it's like I have to sing it in my head how it goes. It's like I might remember like the hook, the main hook of the chorus or something, and then I start singing through the rest of the song. I'm like, wow, that's the same song. Wow, that's also like, and it's like the parts are so catchy that it's like, how are these the same song? Like you could take this one part and like nothing else has to be as good as that part or something because it's so good and so catchy. But it's like everything is a hook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think sometimes, say when I'm writing I have a new record out and stuff, and so when I'm writing a song and trying to write a guitar line and even the the melody. I almost try to think like how would this play with like a orchestra?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just like imagine like one day, you know, it was like, okay, the symphony orchestra does versions of, you know, that would never happen probably, but like all
Do
of
you
Sadler
remember?
Vaden's
Do you
solo
remember
album,
these albums?
whatever.
Do you remember these albums that were like I had an album of symphonic Pink Floyd, right? And it was like an
Yeah,
orchestra playing
yeah.
Pink Floyd, and there were a
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of these types of things. Like that's what you're thinking of. Like, what's the symphonic version of this record sound like, or something?
Yeah, like would that work, you know, in that arena? And I think all of the Oasis songs, because of all the melodies of the songs and all the guitar hooks and everything. Like if you think of like Live Forever, there's like that back half of the solo that goes up. It's like you know, it's like you could see it. You could see a whole orchestra playing that song. Da, 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 da. So, yeah, I mean, don't want to get too far off the subject, but yeah, I mean, that's what makes Noel, to me. I don't always like gauge a guitarist on how technical they are, obviously, if that's what makes them great or not, you know, because Eddie Van Halen, very technical, also very melodic.
Yeah.
His solos were songs within songs.
We can all sing all those solos because he's a master of that, right?
There's a lot of reasons why he's one of the GOATs, but if not the GOAT. But then take all the guitar players that are technically up there with Eddie Van Halen, all the shredders and stuff. They didn't apply it within 3.5 minute pop songs.
Right.
Right.
So I think that's the difference.
So let's talk about Noel's tone a bit, and I want to give a special shout out to Dan and Mick over at That Pedal Show for making one of the all-time great guitar internet videos ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I went back, as we had this on the books, I went back and watched that again, and just hearing how Noel's approached the tone, like he didn't have fancy boutique stuff. I mean, he couldn't afford it at the time, especially on that first record. You know, he played a Marshall combo that most people probably wouldn't look twice at. They'd probably go after some JCM 900 or something.
Almost same. Sorry to interrupt you, but when I watched that, I said I had that valve state.
Yep.
The Marshall is my first amp, and his was like the model above mine. So I was even poorer than he was, but mine was like the smaller, but it was the exact same era, solid state Marshall.
And so when you think of that Marshall, then you also had a Vox there, sitting there. And it's just, to me, when I hear those early Oasis albums, you just hear this wall of guitars, right? Obviously, some of that's also Bonehead as well. But there was something that he said, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, Sadler, because you play in a rock band. Don't know how loud it is on stage necessarily, but his idea of learning how to control a semi-hollow guitar on a very loud stage, and he had such specific thoughts about that, like knowing where to turn in certain ways to get just the right amount of feedback. How did those comments kind of hit home with you after playing on loud stages for all these years?
I don't know. I just love that. I love that he just had to figure it out because he didn't really know what to like. I you know, it's just like necessity is the mother of invention. I just love that he just had to figure out, oh, well, I just need to turn, you know, because probably nobody told him.
Yeah.
He just didn't know. And he also probably thought, well, I have all these amps, I have to play all of them.
Right.
You know.
It wasn't, you'd think even in the mid 90s, like, you know, I mean, we've seen his pedal board from then. It wasn't a complicated, it wasn't like a bunch of switchers. Even his pedal board now looks pretty I don't say run down, but it's not like a shiny Ferrari by any stretch. You know
Sure,
what I
yeah.
mean?
That's a big part of that tone. I mean, you're not going to get, I did an Oasis tribute thing one night in Nashville, and my only problem is that we sounded too good. It was such a Nashville. It was just like, and everybody up there was Oasis fans and all loved the music and but it's like when we're playing it, it's like we just we sound too good. We're playing it too good, and and I think that's a big part of their sound is that hollow, that semi-hollow Epiphone, two of them, loud. You're gonna get that big wall,
Yeah.
and then like so many of their songs on record too that you hear the feedback right before everything starts.
I like the intro on Morning Glory is
Woo!
like the intro to Morning Glory is one of the most iconic intros ever.
Yeah.
Ba, 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 ba,
Yeah, and you're not gonna you need that thing ringing.
Yeah.
You need that hollow, yeah. You need that little bit of that feedback and everything going on to get that sound. We were watching a interview the other night. Of course, I'm probably driving everyone in the band crazy because it's just,
Do you think everybody in the
we-
band's like
we
great?
co-
Oasis now once they announce like great. Sadler's gonna be insufferable for the next year.
I don't think. I mean, it's funny because post show, like people hang out in the dressing room, whatever. Usually, I like kind of go to the bus, and usually it's I'm kind of me or maybe somebody else on the bus right after a show. That's when I'll put some music on or dial the YouTube up, and watch some videos. So nobody else is on there. I'm just watching what I want to watch. I can't help you're coming on while I'm watching Oasis or Noel Gallagher interviews, whatever. But the other night I was turning Will Johnson, who's the newest member of our group, onto the brand new Definitely Maybe interview that he did at Sifter's record store, and Will really enjoyed it, and he said, wow, it's the first time I've really seen him kind of not so like guarded and stuff, and I don't. It's funny about Noel. I don't think he's as jaded as he can come off to be sometimes. I think like, if you're only seeing a minute and 30 seconds of an interview where he says something or he sounds like a jaded rock star, then that's what everybody's going to think he is. And then you see more of those. But I think he's very self-deprecating most of the time, especially when he's talking about like the guitar.
Yeah. Like
stuff
even in that
and
interview
then-
with Mick and Dan, he goes to try to play one of his solos, and he's like, "Do I dare embarrass myself and try and play one of my own solos?"
You can tell Noel's loud though because when you watch videos, you see his picking hand and he's barely grazing the strings with his picking hand. So, you got to be loud.
Yeah.
You got to be loud.
You gotta be
if
loud.
you're doing that. So,
All right. To wrap up here, Sadler, I'm going to give you the impossible task. Give me, in order from 5 to 1, your top 5 Oasis records.
oh, okay. From 5 to 1.
5 to 1.
Records, not songs.
Records, yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, whew. Let's see.
I feel like songs would be too easy.
Okay, I can do this. Huh?
Songs would be too easy.
Well,
Well, now I want to know the songs.
Dig Out Your Soul. Dig Out Your Soul's 5.
Mm.
But I like Dig Out Your Soul. Ooh. It's kind of a toss-up on number 4. Probably Don't Believe the Truth, number 4. Heathen Chemistry, 3.
Mm.
What's the Story, and then Definitely Maybe. It's hard not to put Definitely Maybe number 1. Just
All right, I have a
All right.
different question.
okay.
Hold on, before you get to that question, Nick, because I
Yeah.
want to, us
Yeah.
being the two Oasis fans,
Yeah.
I want to make sure to
Yeah.
give you a well-rounded. I'm gonna give you my 5. I want to give you a well-rounded education here, Nick. Number 5, and this may be cheating. I don't know. Number 5, Nebworth live album.
Oh, okay. Wasn't even thinking live albums,
right?
but still, I think
Number 4, I would go Heathen Chemistry. Number 3 is the Master Plan, which should have been their third record, because they might be the greatest B-side band of all time.
you're probably right. Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
and then I would put definitely number 2, Morning Glory number 1.
put in Morning Glory in more. Yeah. It's hard. That's a hard 1 and 2 for me. And I love the Master Plan, but for some reason, it just like I didn't connect with it the way I did like when I heard Heathen Chemistry the first time and stuff like that. So, but it's hard. It's hard putting definitely maybe like number 2 for me because Rock and Roll Star right out the gate, and Supersonic, and
It's too good.
And what's the story? Not I probably yeah. I probably enjoy What's the Story maybe more because they Cast No Shadow. Things sounded just a little bit better.
You've seen that documentary
Yeah.
where Noel goes back to the studio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking Be Here Now, but I actually do really love Be Here Now. But it's a little grating on the ears, but there's some really good songs.
Yeah.
Magic Pie is an amazing song. My Big Mouth is a fucking stunner rock song. Yeah, they put some good record.
All right,
Nick.
so you get an opportunity. You're opening for Oasis. They say, "All right, mate, come out, play a song with us. Any song you want in the set. What is it?"
Oh my God.
I got one, and it's not off the first 2 records.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, Little by Little.
Why?
I mean, well, I tell you what, it'd be if they're like, no, we're not playing Little by Little tonight.
No, you get to choose. Let's say they're just like, pick a tune, we'll play it.
That
we know the
song,
catalog.
like, it just the chorus is so huge, and I don't
Yeah.
even think it was even a single. Was it?
Well, it was
I
a
can't
single
remember.
in the UK. I think it was
Okay.
a single. I think it was actually. Yeah, I think it was actually a hit in the UK. Actually.
Jeez, that song to me, that's probably a top 3 Oasis song for me.
Yeah. Well, that's why I put Heathen Chemistry up there, because of Stop Crying Your Heart Out, because of Little by Little, because of Songbird, even the Hindu Times, I think is great song. What song would I play with them?
I would say so. As a casual fan, Don't Look Back in Anger is my favorite song, but it's not the song I'm going to play with them. If I were given the opportunity, I'd play Supersonic because I think I could open up on it.
I mean, the real answer, if you want to jam, it's Supernova. If you want to jam.
Yeah, if everybody was, I would say I would want to play Rock and Roll Star.
Yeah.
Okay.
Near, near, near. It's got the most like Southern rock kind of,
Right.
Not that that's the reason I want to do it, but I just. Yeah, I would love to be locked in with the boys. Up on
All right.
that one.
Here's a related question. After you play,
What are you watching on the bus?
What kind of? Yeah, what kind of?
after you play, which Gallagher brother do you want to have an argument with? One of them's going to come up to you and argue with you about what you just played. Which one are you arguing with?
No.
Yeah. You think he'd be easier to argue with?
He's the funnier one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, who do I want to have a pint with? Liam.
Yeah.
Um,
Who do you want to get in a fight with? Who do you want on your side, and who do you want to fight against? It's kind of related, right?
I'd want Liam on my side because I think he becomes unhinged faster. Noel, I think Noel is not going to get physical for a long time.
Yeah.
If
Liam
ever,
is gonna
unless
throw.
it's his brother.
Liam is gonna throw a beer glass against the wall.
Well, Liam leads with his heart, I think, and his gut. And I think Noel is a little more cerebral. Not to say he's smarter or whatever, but I think that Liam goes quicker with just what he's feeling in here and not in the beer. So I could be wrong.
So where are you on the High Flying Birds?
Never. Few tracks. Never
Yeah.
really did much for me. Same. I mean, I think I tend to lean more towards Liam's last few records, out of the post Oasis era stuff.
Do you think any
so-
non-Oasis tracks will show up in the set list?
I don't know. I don't know if I think that they would. Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. I guess it depends on how strong their relationship really is right now.
Because it sounds
I
like
could
the
see,
band.
like, if I had a gun or something from Noel's side, and then
Heart of Glass.
for Liam, yeah, maybe Wall of Glass, or maybe what was the big ballad that he
Heart,
had?
yeah.
Once, maybe, or yeah, maybe
Mm-hmm.
could see something.
And I like that. I think Bonehead and Gem are going to be in the band. It's going to be a 3-guitar lineup.
You think Gim's gonna be there too? Wow, that's
Yeah, I
cool.
think so.
Well, Gim is in the High Flying Bird. So, what about bass? What about drums?
I read today that it was going to be Andy Bell.
Andy? Oh, really? They're gonna get it? Yeah. I mean,
And drums,
wonder who's
I
gonna be the
think
drummer.
probably the drummer from the Birds, who was
Yeah,
like
who
the
was in
last
Oasis.
Oasis drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Sharrock.
Yeah. So
Um,
this way we want Sadler. A year from now, next September, we reconvene. What do you
Okay.
hope we're talking about in terms of Noel and Oasis?
I hope, yeah, probably a new album or something. Yeah, I hope we have like some new music or something. Be really,
And I get the
really
feeling
good.
that this is not going to be just a one-off reunion thing. I think there's too much money. Noel went through an expensive divorce. You know, they've made their solo records. They've flexed that muscle.
Yeah, they've done plenty of that.
They have plenty of that. I can't remember which guy said this, but you could go to any Noel or Liam solo gig, and not one of those people would not rather be at an Oasis gig.
Yeah, well, Matt Healy from 1975 said that. Yeah, I thought that was a good point.
That's a pretty
Yeah,
good point. That I think it might, they can do this, do a new record, get all the hype dealt with and the demand with these stadium gigs. Let everybody who really wants to see them. And then, in 26 or whatever, do an arena tour. Do more dates. So, because I feel like once the hype kind of wears off and they see that, these guys are going to be around for at least a little bit, the demand
Sure.
will subside a bit. They'll still sell out anywhere they want to play. They're not going to feel the need to play stadiums every night.
Right.
And yeah, I could see this kind of almost like what Guns N' Roses has been doing. They had the big demand for the reunion. They got a new record that's been in the works, obviously, for a million years. So I think they're going to follow that kind of path.
I hope America shows them the love when they come over here, though, because if they don't, then they're not going to come over here very often.
Yeah.
And whenever they announce their stadiums and stuff, hopefully it goes well. But even if they stick around for a while and it doesn't go well, they still come over here and do big theaters or
Sheds
some
even.
sheds,
Yeah.
and things like that.
Oh,
But,
I think they will.
yeah. I just still think, as big as they are in America, I still think there's a bit of a disconnect still. A bit. I think this initial announcing these shows, only playing a certain number of them, driving people to make a destination. You know, if they're going to play Chicago, you know what I'm saying. So that's
Yeah.
going to capture like the whole Midwest. You know,
Right. Yeah, 2 nights
so
of
that
Soldier
makes
Field.
sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to make sense. You know, to not announce like a 18-date arena tour over here. You know,
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right, Sadler, thanks for spending some time on your day off.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Hey, appreciate you, Jason, Nick. Thank you, guys.
Everybody go see Sadler on tour right now. Jason Isbell on the 400 unit. Go check out his new solo record. And go to sadlervaden.com, I'm assuming.
That's right. It's a great spot.
It is a nice spot just to hang out sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next year, Sadler, to wrap up to all this.
All right, Jason. Thank you, guys. Mad
Later,
for it.
man. All right, so Jason, I feel like I got a lot of Oasis immersion there in hearing you guys talk about Noel and Oasis, and I've listened through the discography, but it gave me some good cues. Of
Master
stuff to
Plan.
go back, yeah.
That's the sleeper record, man. Master Plan.
All right, I will. I'll spend some time with that one. I'll be digging in, but
You're gonna go see him. You're gonna go see him next summer. You're so
it would be
going
funny
to
if
see him.
I'm the one, if I go see him and you don't, because you didn't. What kind of giant Oasis fan hasn't bought their tickets yet? I don't understand that.
One who lives in America. That's right. Yeah.
Fair.
They got their own troubles over there. I would getting tickets. I don't want any part of that mess. So they'll come. They're doing. I'm gonna call it now. They're doing 2 nights at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
I'll figure out a way to get there.
You're not crossing international boundaries. To go
Not
see.
at this point in my life.
Anybody you would do that for?
Oh yeah.
Who?
I don't know, but I mean, part of it is just going there. Like I would go see almost anybody in Europe just to go to Europe for whatever reason, you know. But I don't feel.
Let's say that is there any, like, I have one artist where if they announce a concert anywhere in the world, I'm buying tickets and figuring it out, and it just has to happen because I can't miss them.
David Gilmour.
No, not David Gilmour. Because I haven't bought tickets to go see David Gilmour, and he's going to be in New York. No, Tom Waits. I've never seen Tom Waits. I should have gone to see Tom Waits. I don't think I'll ever I don't think he's ever playing again. But say that there were a situation where I'm sitting here on my computer working one day and I see that Tom Waits is playing. I don't care how it works out. I'm going to buy those tickets and I will figure it out. We will plan. We've already discussed this in my house. We'll plan a family vacation around it. That just has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to see so many of my favorite guitar players.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many people left on my list that I have not seen.
I feel the same way. There's nobody
Yeah.
beyond that.
I mean, I've seen McCartney, I've seen Clapton, I've seen Beck, I've seen Jimmy Page. So
Black Rose.
Black Rose, yep. Mhm.
Jimmy Page and Black Rose. That's pretty cool.
That's right. So I feel pretty.
Yeah, that covers a lot of bases.
Yeah, seen Dave Matthews, seen Fish. I've seen.
You probably traveled for some of those too, haven't you?
Oh yeah. So.
All right. So Oasis does not make your cut.
Oasis
of
probably does
bands
not
you-
make the cut, and just like like Sadler said, like I don't know if I'd want to go see them over there.
What's the furthest if they're announcing tour dates in the U.S.? What's the furthest you're traveling?
Chicago.
Okay, so if they play in New York, you're not going.
Only New York? Probably not. I mean, I thought the same when Cream only played New York. I would have probably traveled farther to see Cream on their reunion tour, but they didn't. They only played New York.
What Minneapolis?
It's the same.
That's the same. Okay.
Mhm. Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, St.
Louis?
Louis, Kansas City, and Omaha are all the same distance.
Oh wow.
So
You really are in the middle of the country.
I'm in the
there.
middle of the West, which is not really the middle of the West. It's pretty east of the West. All right.
All right. Well, hey, if you have thoughts, you want to tell us how far you'll travel to see Oasis in the U.S. or anything else you want to share, you can get at us 100, that's 100 guitarists at premierguitar.com. texts, voicemails, hit us up 319-423-9734. That's a voicemail only line, so don't worry, nobody's going to pick it up and try and talk to you. And we just want to thank Epiphone again for sponsoring this episode, and go get your Epiphone Noel Gallagher Riviera Dark Wine Red model.
That's right.
Play all the riffs, play in E minor.
I'm about to play E minor.
There we go. All right, and we'll see y'all next week.